Good morning students. In today's class we will study more about acquired immunity. In the previous class we have started with this topic called as immunity, where immunity is of two types. One is innate immunity, the second type is known as acquired immunity. We have already discussed about innate immunity, where I have explained you that innate immunity is the immunity which is present in our body from the time we were born. Okay, whereas acquired immunity is the immunity which is not present at the time of birth. However, an individual acquires it or gains it in his lifespan. Okay, so this is the acquired immunity. Under innate immunity, we had studied 4 different types of barriers. Okay, the first one was physical barrier, which included skin and mucous epithelium. The second one was physiological barrier, which included tears, acid in the stomach and saliva in the mouth. The third type of barrier was cellular barrier, which included WBC. Different types of WBCs, when they act as barriers, they come under innate immunity. Cytokine barriers are some chemicals produced by cells. Okay, we have taken an example of interferons, which is actually released when a cell is infected by a virus. Okay, so since all these barriers are present in our body from the time of our birth, they are the barriers, which provides innate immunity. In today's class, we will study in detail about acquired immunity. In my previous class, I have already given you some kind of introduction to this topic. Here I have already mentioned that acquired immunity is a specific type of immunity, whereas innate immunity is a non-specific type of immunity. This is generic. Okay, our body, when it produced these barriers, it was not targeted to one particular pathogen, whereas acquired immunity is targeted to a certain type of pathogen. When the body encounters an attack from a pathogen, immediately our immune system gets activated and our body produces certain defense mechanism. Okay, such type of immunity is known as acquired immunity. It is specific to particular pathogen, whereas these barriers are generic. Okay, the second important property of acquired immunity is that they are characterized by memory. Okay, I was talking about memory. If we encounter a pathogen attack for the first time, imagine a bacteria has attacked our body and your body has taken almost 5 to 6 days to recover from that bacterial attack. Imagine a bacteria has caused fever in your body. Now, in order to get rid of the fever, if that bacteria's attack is happening for the first time, then your body, it will take at least 5 to 6 days for you to recover from that bacterial attack, for the fever to get subsided. However, if the same bacteria is attacking you after few days or few years, your body is able to recognize that bacteria. Okay, your body knows that this bacteria has entered my body, before this, it has attacked my body, before this. So, what action I had taken at that particular time, your body, your immune system is able to recognize that, that action, and immediately, without waiting for a longer time, immediately your body responds. Okay, and how it has responded in the previous time, immediately your body responds and kills that particular bacteria. Okay, so since your immune system is having the memory of the prior attack, the acquired immunity system is said to be, it is characterized by memory. That means your body remembers which pathogen has attacked my body previously. If a new bacteria or new virus or a new fungus is going to attack your body, then your immune system will be in a confused state as to what action has to be taken. Whereas if those particular pathogen has already attacked your body, then it's easy for your body or it's easy for your immune system to take action or take instant actions. Okay. Now here, under acquired immunity, we have to study two topics known as primary and secondary you the example of a bacteria. Imagine this is your body. A bacteria is infecting your body. Okay. Now your body is new to this bacteria because this bacteria is attacking your body for the first time. Okay. Now what happens is your immune system actually tries to identify what type of organism is this and what action it can take in order to kill this bacteria or put it out of your body. Okay, how to kill this bacteria or how to neutralize this bacteria, this action has to be taken by your immune system. Now, what action has been taken by your immune system is known as primary response. Okay, when the bacteria enters your body for the first time, your immune system is new to this bacteria. However, your immune system will respond to this bacteria in certain way. That response is known as primary response. Okay, the response could be in terms of fever. When the bacteria is attacking your body wants to get rid of that bacteria. So what happens is your body increases your temperature. The body temperature is increased. When the body temperature is increased, that increased temperature or high temperature will not be suitable for the bacteria to grow in your body. So the bacteria might start dying. So this response is known as primary response. You all should be aware that fever is also a kind of response produced by our immune system in order to neutralize any pathogen entering your body. Fever is a technique of increasing the body temperature so that in that particular high temperature, the pathogen which is entering your body, thinking that your body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius, okay, and it is ideal for its growth. When the temperature is increased to 39 degrees Celsius by your immune system, definitely that bacteria which is which seeks the temperature of 37 degrees Celsius cannot survive in 39 degrees Celsius and it dies ultimately. So this is a kind of response produced by your immune system. This is known as primary response. Response produced by your immune system for the primary attack of any particular pathogen. Here I have taken an example of bacteria. In place of bacteria, you can take any virus or any fungus, okay, or any microorganisms for that matter. Okay, so the response given by your immune system in the first encounter of any particular pathogen is known as primary response. Now, primary response is always of low intensity. Okay, why we say low intensity? Since this bacteria is attacking your body for the first time, your immune system takes little more time to neutralize this bacteria. Okay, so primary response is always of low intensity. Okay, your body might take almost 5 to 7 days to neutralize this bacteria completely and to be in a healthy position again. Understood? So we say primary response is always of low intensity because this bacteria is completely new to your immune system and your immune system takes little bit more time in order to produce primary response and neutralize this bacteria. Okay? Whereas imagine your primary response has been produced, bacteria is neutralized, you are healthy again. Okay? Maybe after 1 year, the same bacteria is attacking you again. Okay? So this is the second time the same bacteria is attacking your body. So what happens? Your immune system has what? Your immune system has this memory of this particular bacteria. Your immune system knows this bacteria has attacked me already 1 year ago. Okay, and your immune system knows what type of response has to be produced. Okay, and the immune system produced that particular response. Now, this response is known as secondary response. Okay, previously when the bacterial attack was happening for the first time, your immune system produced a primary response. However, when the same bacteria is attacking your body for the second time, the response produced by your immune system is known as secondary response, because this is the second encounter of the same bacteria. Okay, this is the second encounter by the same bacteria to your body. So the response produced by your immune system for the same bacteria is known as secondary response. However, imagine like apart from the previous bacteria, some new bacteria is attacking your body. Then this response becomes again primary response, because that bacteria is again new to your immune system. Okay, so this will not be second time, this will be again first time. We are talking about the same bacteria repeating its attack. Okay, so the same bacteria attacks your body after after 1 year, it becomes your second time with the same bacteria. Then what happens, your immune system is having that memory, it is easily able to produce a response which is known as secondary response against the same bacteria. So previously when the primary response was produced, you could neutralize the bacteria in 5 to 7 days, whereas here within 2 to 3 days the whole bacteria will be neutralized or it will be killed. So this secondary response can be of high intensity, whereas primary response was of low intensity. The secondary response is always of high intensity because the response is very quick. Okay, and the result is also very quick. Within 2 to 3 days all the bacteria will be neutralized and you will be healthy again. Okay, so this is known as secondary response. So this primary and secondary response are also a special feature of your acquired immunity, that is the immunity that you acquire in your lifespan. Okay, now we are talking about so many responses. We are talking about primary response. We say our immune system gets activated. Okay, how our immune system gets activated? Now, while explaining cellular barriers, I explained you that in our body we have certain types of cells which actually gives us immunity. Okay, now imagine we are getting immunity because of these cells known as white blood cells. Okay, in white blood cells we have 5 different types: neutrophil, eosinophil, basophil, monocyte and lymphocyte. Okay, so these are the 5 different types of WBC. We have already discussed in your first year class, also in my previous session. Okay, these lymphocytes majorly is classified into 2 types. One is known as B lymphocytes. Okay, the next one is known as T lymphocytes. So your white blood cells are of 5 different types. Out of that, the last one here which I have mentioned is lymphocytes. Lymphocytes are of 2 types: B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. Okay, lymphocytes are always of 2 types: B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. Now, why am I mentioning B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes here is because your primary and secondary response, or the memory that I am talking about, has been contributed by these B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. Hope this is clear to you. The memory, the primary and secondary response that I have been talking is being given by B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes to your body. When I say immune system produces a primary response, they are nothing but B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes producing this response. Every time we cannot talk about individual cell and talk about the response. So we generally say your immune system produces some kind of response. In immune system, who actually produces these responses? B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. Actually, they have the knowledge, they have the actual memory of your pathogen attack. They are able to remember which organism or which pathogen has attacked your body, okay, previously. Okay, so you have to know about these B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes, which are the two different lymphocytes coming under lymphocytes. Lymphocytes are one of the type in your WBC. Now, how these B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes are so important? What is their function in your immune system? B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. Okay, first let me tell you why we use this term known as B and T. What is the speciality of this alphabet B and alphabet T? Then I will explain you the actual function of B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. Why do we call B lymphocytes as B lymphocytes? They are lymphocytes. They are type of WBCs. That is the reason we use this term B lymphocytes. Why do we use this alphabet B in front of lymphocytes? Now, you already know that all our RBCs, WBCs, platelets are produced in a special structure of our body known as bone marrow. What is the bone marrow? Bone marrow is a spongy tissue present in our hip and thigh bone. What is a bone marrow? Bone marrow is a kind of spongy tissue present in our hip and thigh bone. Okay, our hip and thigh bone, if you look into the hip and thigh bone, inside this bone you have a spongy tissue which is known as bone marrow. What is the speciality of this bone marrow? I have already told you, bone marrow is a spongy tissue. That means they are a group of cells. Okay, so what type of cells are present in this spongy tissue? In the bone marrow or in spongy tissue, we have special cells known as stem cells. Okay, in our hip and thigh bone, if you look into the hip and thigh bone, inside this hip and thigh bone, we have a spongy tissue. Okay, and this spongy tissue is generally referred as bone marrow. Now, if you look into the spongy tissue, what are they? Actually, they are a group of cells known as stem cells. Stem cells are some kind of fateless cells. That means these are the cells which actually do not know their function. Depending upon the requirement of the body, they are differentiated different cells. For example, your body requires RBC, so these stem cells are converted into RBC. Your body requires WBCs, so these stem cells are converted into WBCs. Okay, so depending upon the requirement, these stem cells are converted into different types of cells. So now you know all your RBCs, all your WBCs are produced from this bone marrow. Okay, so bone marrow is the tissue from which your RBCs and WBCs are produced. RBCs and WBCs are produced. So now when I say lymphocytes, they are a type of WBC, so you know they are produced in bone marrow. When I say T lymphocytes, again they are type of WBCs, they are also produced from bone marrow. Okay, so from in blood we have RBC and WBCs, even your platelets, all are produced from this bone marrow. RBCs, WBCs, platelets, all are produced in bone marrow, the tissue present inside our bone. Okay. Under WBC we have 5 types: neutrophil, eosinophil, basophil, monocyte, lymphocytes. All the WBCs are produced from bone marrow. Under that you take B lymphocytes, T lymphocytes, even they are produced from bone marrow. Ultimately, all your WBCs are produced from bone marrow. Now, this B word represents bone marrow. Then you might be having a question, this is also WBC, this is also produced from bone marrow, then why do we use the term T? Okay, now the answer for that doubt is that certain lymphocytes, all the lymphocytes, they are born in bone marrow. However, there are certain lymphocytes which develop and differentiate in the bone marrow. Okay, even though all the WBCs are produced in bone marrow, certain lymphocytes, they develop and mature in bone marrow. Since even though they are born in bone marrow, they are formed from bone marrow, we don't use the term B. Since they develop and mature in bone marrow, since this bone marrow's B represents the B lymphocytes. Okay, because they develop and they mature in bone marrow. Then where do these T lymphocytes develop and mature? They develop and mature in thymus. That is the term. This T represents this T. Okay, they are born in bone marrow, but they develop and mature in thymus. Okay, taking birth and developing and maturing are different terms. We are born, but we are developing and maturing. Okay, we are born in one place and we are developing and maturing in another place. It can always happen. So they both are born in bone marrow, okay, but the term represents the place where they develop and mature. B lymphocytes, they develop and mature in bone marrow itself where they are born, whereas T lymphocytes, they are born in bone marrow, but they go all the way to thymus to develop and mature. Thymus, where is it located? Thymus is a, it's a kind of gland. They are also known as primary lymphoid organs. I will explain it in detail. Thymus is an organ, or it's a kind of gland present in our body just below your sternum. Okay, this is the sternum, your front bone. Just below your sternum, just in front of your heart, very close to your heart, between two lungs, we have this organ known as thymus. It also acts as endocrine gland, producing a hormone thymosin. You have studied in your first year class. Okay, in your body you have an organ known as thymus. It is present just below your sternum, just in front of your heart, between your heart and below your sternum, between your heart and sternum. Okay, between two lungs, your thymus is present. So the T lymphocytes, they are born in bone marrow, present in thigh region and hip region. From there they go all the way to thymus gland, or this organ called as thymus, to develop and mature. That is the reason we use the term T. T represents thymus, B represents bone marrow. Okay. Now let's see. Now you know how they got their name, you know how they are produced, where they develop, where they mature. Now we will see what are their functions. Their function is to produce antibodies. The function of B lymphocytes is to produce antibodies. Now, some virus or bacteria or fungi any pathogen, generally I will represent a pathogen. When I say this term pathogen, you should be able to include a fungus, a bacteria, a virus or a helminths or a protozoan, anything under this pathogen. Now, any pathogen entering your body, these pathogens are known as antigen. Okay, any pathogen entering your body is known as antigen. Not only pathogen, any foreign substance entering our body is known as antigen. Any foreign substance entering our body is known as antigen. It could be a pathogen, it could be some proteins coming from that pathogen, it could be any unwanted substance, which is any foreign substance. When I say foreign substance, the substances which do not belong to your body are known as foreign substances. Hope this is clear to you. When I say foreign substance, any substance or any molecule which does not belong to your body is a foreign substance to you. Okay, a dust is entering my body from outside environment. That dust does not belong to my body. That dust belongs to the environment. It is coming from the environment to your body. That dust is also an antigen to me because it is a foreign substance coming from external environment inside my body. My body is not meant for that particular dust. So that is a foreign substance. Any bacteria, any virus, any fungi, any protozoan, any helminths coming from outside environment to my body is an antigen to me. Okay, hereafter I will be using this term antigen regularly. You should be able to know what are antigens. Okay, when I say antigen, you should be able to recall what explanation I have given. Antigen is any kind of foreign substance that enters our body and induces an immune response. Okay, when this antigen enters your body, your immune system gets activated. Your immune system knows that this antigen does not belong to my body. So what your immune system will do? What your immune system is going to do? It is going to produce a immune response. Okay, so antigen are those substances which when enters your body produces an immune response. Antigens are any foreign substance which has the capacity to produce immune response in your body. Okay, when antigen comes, definitely your immune system is going to be alert and it is going to produce a immune response. Now, how they produce immune response? I have already spoke about B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. Here, when an antigen enters your body, antigen in case of a bacteria, here antigen is a bacteria. Bacteria has entered your body. Your immune system knows some foreign substance has entered my body. Now what they are going to do? They are going to ask the B lymphocytes. Okay, they are going to ask, your immune system is going to alert this B lymphocytes. Okay, you know what is B lymphocyte now. It is a type of lymphocyte. It is going to alert the B lymphocyte stating, see, there is an antigen coming inside our body. Now immediately what these B lymphocytes are going to do, these B lymphocytes are going to produce a Y-shaped structure which is basically a glycoprotein. Okay, so when an antigen enters your body, your immune system is going to alert the B lymphocytes. B lymphocytes produce a Y-shaped structure which is basically a glycoprotein. Okay, they are made up of glycoprotein. These structures are known as antibodies. The bodies against this antigen. Okay, they are going to produce some particles which are going to fight with this antigen. Okay, so such structures are known as antibodies. So what is the function of B lymphocytes? The function of B lymphocyte is to produce antibodies. What these antibodies are going to do? Okay, when the antigen entered your body, your immune system alerted the B lymphocytes. B lymphocyte produced a Y-shaped glycoprotein known as antibodies. Okay, so basically B lymphocytes' function is to produce antibodies. They are known as antibodies. What are antibodies? If we have to study its chemical structure, then antibodies are nothing but it is a glycoprotein. What is a glycoprotein? When a sugar is associated with a protein molecule. When carbohydrates are combined with protein, we call such molecules as glycoprotein. Okay, so this is produced by B lymphocytes. They are antibodies. What these antibodies are going to do? Antibodies come in contact with the antigen or a bacteria here. They come in contact with the bacteria. They completely neutralize the bacteria. They completely digest the bacteria or the antigen. This reaction is known as antigen-antibody reaction. Okay, antibodies are produced by B lymphocytes, whereas antigens are any foreign substance coming into your body. Now, when B lymphocytes produces antibodies, these antibodies are going to interact with the bacteria and completely the bacteria will be neutralized. When I say neutralized, completely digested or killed. This is how our immune system protects our body. B lymphocytes are the major part of our immune system. Then what are T lymphocytes going to do? I am just writing B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes, but you should know they are present in your blood stream. Right? B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes are nothing but WBCs. Basically they are WBCs, and WBCs will be present in your blood. Okay, so when I am writing here, you don't just understand that it is present somewhere in your body. It is present throughout your body in your blood. B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. What are T lymphocytes' function? T lymphocytes are going to help the B lymphocytes to produce antibodies. So the function of B lymphocytes is production of antibodies. The function of T lymphocyte, they help the B lymphocytes to produce antibodies. Hope this is clear to you. B lymphocytes produces antibodies. These antibodies will neutralize the pathogen or any antigen, whereas T lymphocytes will help the B lymphocytes in order to produce these antibodies. Okay. Now let us study more about the structure of a antibody. Okay, I have drawn the structure of antibody in detail. Here I have just mentioned it is a Y-shaped structure. We will look into the structure of this antibody in detail here. So this is the structure of an antibody molecule. I have already mentioned it is a Y-shaped structure. So now they are also known as immunoglobulin, or it is abbreviated as Ig. Okay, so this is the structure of antibody molecule. Antibody, there is another name for this antibody. It's known as immunoglobulin. Okay, or it is abbreviated as Ig. Now this is the structure of antibody. Here you see 1, 2, 3 and 4 chains. Okay, so they are represented as 4 peptide chains. Peptide is a term used for proteins. So basically they are 1, 2, 3 and 4 protein chains. Okay, here you can see 2 are small and 2 are large. Okay, these 2 large chains are known as heavy chain and here you see these 2 small chains are known as light chains. Okay, so here there are 4 peptide chains, 2 large chains and 2 small chains. Okay, so we can represent it as H2L2. Okay, 2 heavy chains, 2 light chains, which can be represented as H2L2. Now this is the basic structure of an antigen. Now here you see in between these light and heavy chains, and also in between the light chains and heavy chains itself, they have certain bridges connecting them. They are nothing but sulfur bridges. Okay, we can say disulfur bridges. Now this is the bridge connecting the heavy chain, 2 heavy chains itself. These disulfur bridges are connecting 2 heavy chains here, 1 heavy and 1 light chain here. Okay, it is a interlink between 1 heavy and 1 light chain. Here it is an interlink between 2 heavy chains. Here it is it's the connection between the light chain. Okay, this is the heavy chain, this is the light chain. So all over the antibody molecule we have this sulfur bridges. Now you see this region, it is slightly different. This region is slightly different when compared to the whole structure of antibody. This region is known as antigen binding site. Okay, this is also antigen binding site. Okay, this is the region where antigens, any pathogen, are going to come and bind to the antibody. This is the region where the antigens are going to come and bind to the antigen. Antigens are any foreign molecules which is entering your body. It will come and bind to the antibodies here. Once these antigens are bound to this antigen binding site on the antibodies, they will be completely neutralized by this antibody. Okay, so this is the heavy chain. This also this is light chain. This is also represented as light chain. So in an antibody, this is a very important question for 2 marks from your exam point of view. We have a Y-shaped structure known as antibody. In the Y-shaped structure, there are 4 polypeptide chains. There are 4 peptide chains, 2 heavy chains and 2 light chains. All are connected by disulfide bridges. There is an antigen binding site. In the antigen binding site, the antigens are going to come and bind and get neutralized from this antibody molecule. This is the structure of antibody, and antibody is also known as immunoglobulin. Immunoglobulin can be abbreviated as IgA. Now, there are different types of immunoglobulin. Antibodies are not only of one type, there are different types of immunoglobulins depending upon different requirement of the body. Immunoglobulin A or antibody A, we can say, immunoglobulin G, immunoglobulin E, immunoglobulin M. Okay, likewise we have different types of immunoglobulins, immunoglobulin A, immunoglobulin G, immunoglobulin E, immunoglobulin M. So there are multiple types of immunoglobulins. This is the structure of antibody molecule. And what is the function of antibody molecule? The function of antibody molecule is simple. When any antigen is entering your body, antibody molecule is going to reach that antigen, and that antigen will be neutralized in that antigen binding site. It is basically, antibody is a glycoprotein. That's a combination of glucose and protein. The function of T lymphocyte is that it is going to support the B lymphocytes in order to produce the antibodies. I hope this acquired immunity, the introduction structure of antibody is clear to you. Now we will look into the types of acquired immunity. Now we have studied almost all the basic information about acquired immunity. Now there is a topic where we have to study about types of acquired immunity. We need to study the types. Under types of acquired immunity, we have active immunity and passive immunity. Under acquired immunity, we have active immunity and passive immunity. If we look into the difference between these two, then acquired immunity is the immunity which is not present in your body at the time of birth. However, you developed it when you were growing. Okay, in your lifespan, when you were growing, you acquired or gained this immunity. Now, what is the difference between active and passive immunity? Now, active immunity is the immunity which you developed when you came in contact with a pathogen. Okay, active immunity is developed while coming in contact with a pathogen. Okay, you develop this immunity. Imagine you have been attacked by a chickenpox virus. Okay, so the virus varicella virus, which is going to develop chickenpox. Varicella zoster virus, you might be aware of this name. Okay, this virus is the virus responsible for causing chickenpox. Imagine this virus has entered your body. You have not taken any previous precaution to avoid chickenpox. Suddenly this varicella zoster virus has entered your body. After the entry of the virus, maybe after 20 or 21 days, you developed chickenpox. Okay, what are chicken pox? They are small, kind of reddish blisters that you will find on your body surface. Okay, small blisters will be, start forming throughout across your body. Now, once you develop chicken pox, okay, this disease called as chicken pox, after few days, the chicken pox will subside. Okay, the disease is gone, the virus will be completely removed from your body. Now what happens is, why, even though if you are not taking any severe medications, definitely chicken pox is going to subside. Okay, that disease is going to subside in few days in your body. That particular thing happens because your body has developed its own immunity against the chickenpox virus. Okay, even though you do not take any medicine, body will take some time and it will definitely neutralize all the virus which is going to cause this chickenpox in your body. Okay, finally your body is completely immune for this chickenpox virus. Okay, so when you came in contact with a pathogen, here you developed certain immunity while coming in contact with a pathogen. Now in your body you have come in contact with this virus known as chickenpox virus. When this virus entered your body, suddenly your body is going to develop an immunity. That is called as active. That means your body is so active, as soon as the virus enters your body, your immune system becomes active and you develop an immunity against this virus. So the chickenpox is not going to kill you. Okay? Chickenpox, like after few days, the body itself will put all the virus out of your body. Your body is completely immune for this chickenpox. Now, if you face, or if you encounter another attack from the same virus in the future, your body will not develop any blisters. Your body will not develop any symptoms. Okay, now you have chickenpox virus has entered your body, you developed chickenpox, you have blisters all over your body, then you got rid of this. Okay, this chickenpox maybe after 5 or 6 days, maybe after it will take up to a week. Okay, within a week you will develop immunity, all the virus will be killed in your body, you will be a normal person. Then imagine the same chickenpox virus is going to enter your body after 10 years. You will not develop chickenpox because you already have immunity for that chickenpox virus. Okay, so that is the active immunity. What is passive immunity? So both these immunities are not present at the time of your birth, that you should be able to remember. Passive immunity is an immunity which is developed. This immunity is developed when ready-made antibodies are injected to your body. Okay, so passive immunity is also a type of immunity, but this immunity is developed in your body when ready-made antibodies are injected. For example, polio vaccine. Okay, polio vaccine is a vaccine which is generally given to the small children below the age of 5 years. Across the globe they give this polio vaccination just to avoid the condition of this polio in future. Okay, so what they do is, in the child below 5 years itself, they give multiple doses of this polio vaccine. When the child has been given polio vaccine, even if the child encounters an attack from this polio virus in its in the child's life, definitely he or she is not going to develop a polio. Okay, he or she will never develop polio because they have already taken ready-made, they have already taken vaccination against it. So in this case, better than polio vaccine, I can give you an example of antibodies A or immunoglobulin A. Okay, this is the antibody. Okay, we say another name for antibody is immunoglobulin. Okay, let's forget the example of polio virus, what I have given, because it is kind of irrelevant here. Okay, so we will take an example of antibody A or IgA, immunoglobulin A. This is received by a baby through mother's milk. Okay, IgA is an antibody present in mother's milk. Okay, the polio where like what I explained cannot be taken as a proper example, because in polio what happens is antibodies are not injected inside the body. You make the body produce antibodies before polio virus attacks your body. Okay, so let's forget the example of polio. Let's take the example of IgA. Okay, now this is a kind of antibody present in mother's milk. Generally people say it's very important for the baby to consume mother's milk at least till the age of 9 months, 6 to 9 months, so that the baby gets sufficient antibodies. Why we say that is because the baby's body is not actually ready to produce antibodies as soon as the baby is born. So in order to avoid any kind of infection, what happens is few antibodies are transferred in mother's milk from mother's body to the baby's body. So when a baby is drinking a mother's milk, this antibody known as IgA is transferred from mother to baby through milk. So if the baby is getting infected with in a few different types of pathogen, this antibody is going to give proper protection to the baby against those particular pathogens. So giving mother's milk to the baby is very important because of this antibody A. Students, I was discussing about the difference between active immunity and passive immunity. Okay, I am using a slide here so that we can save some time in which we waste in writing on the board. So here let's look into the difference between active immunity and passive immunity. I have already mentioned active immunity is developed due to contact with a pathogen or antigen. I gave the example of chickenpox. Here passive immunity is developed when ready-made antibodies are injected into the body. Okay. Now I was giving the example of antibody IgA. It is received by the infant through colostrum. Colostrum is the initial mother milk is known as colostrum. Okay. Also antibody is received through the placenta. When the baby is still inside the mother's womb, it is protected by this cover known as placenta. What happens is from the placenta, here I forgot to mention the antibody. The antibody is known as IgG. Okay, IgG antibodies are transferred from mother's body to the baby through placenta. Okay, placenta is not only helpful for the transport of oxygen and nutrition, it is also helpful for the transport of antibodies. There is an antibody called as IgG, which will be transferred from mother's body to the baby through placenta. So this IgG antibody will give the baby protection against a lot of infection. Okay, next look into the other differences. This active immunity, it has no side effect or very few side effects. Okay, since you are developing this immunity naturally, it has got no side effect or it has got very few side effects. Whereas if you look into this passive immunity, it may cause a reaction. Not the antibodies here, what I have mentioned here, because they are produced naturally in a mother's body and they are naturally transferred to the baby's body. Here through colostrum, here through placenta. However, there are certain antibodies while treating some diseases. For example, if we are treating a person who has been bit by a snake, then what happens is we don't have much time to waste. Okay, imagine a person has been bitten by a snake. He will be hospitalized. Okay, the snake venom, the name venom itself indicates it's so poisonous, and the person might die within few minutes. At that particular time, we don't have much time to waste. So what we do is we cannot wait the person to develop antibodies against that particular antigen. What we do here is we inject ready-made antibodies into the person's blood. Okay, so that these antibodies will go and fight against a snake venom, which is considered as an antigen here. So the person will survive. So here the ready-made antibodies are given into the person who has been bitten by a snake. So here it may cause a reaction. When you are injecting the ready-made antibodies directly into a person's body, it might cause a reaction. Okay, whereas in active immunity, the immunity developed through this direct contact with the pathogen, it has no side effect or very few. Here it may cause a reaction. The third one is, it is slow but long lasting. When a chicken pox virus attacks your body, you may not develop the immunity or you may not produce antibodies within few minutes. Your body takes some time and produces antibodies against the chickenpox virus. Okay, it is slow, but it is long lasting. As I told you, even if you encounter an attack by chickenpox virus after 10 years of after the first infection, you will not develop the symptoms of chickenpox again, because the immunity that developed is long lasting. Okay, here it is fast but lasts for only few days. I gave you an example of a person who is bitten by a snake. Okay, you are giving ready-made antibodies against the snake venom, doesn't mean in the future, like if he is getting bitten by a snake, this antibody is going to protect him from that particular snake venom. That is not going to happen. Okay, again he will be, he will reach a serious condition. Again antibodies, ready-made antibodies have to be injected to that person's body. Okay, not that once we have given antibodies against snake venom, that is going to work throughout his life. That is not going to happen. It lasts only for very few days. It takes time to develop response. I have already mentioned like these two differences are almost the same. Okay, so it takes time to develop response. Once the antigen entered our body takes time to develop response. Here, it is used when the immune response has to be faster. I told you, when a snake has bit a person, we cannot wait for a longer time. Okay, the immune response has to be faster here. So passive immunity or ready-made antibodies are given to that particular person. So here antibody IgA and antibody IgG can be taken as an example, or we can also take antibodies produced against snake venom. Here active immunity I have not given any example, because all the diseases that we face, we develop immunity. Okay, most of the infection we may not even know that we have been attacked by certain pathogen, because our immune system is so strong that our body has naturally fought back against that particular pathogen and it has sent it out of the body. We may not even come to know that this particular pathogen has entered our body, because our immune system is managing everything by not bringing it to our notice. Okay, only when the infection is severe, then we develop symptoms. Okay, so this is the difference between active immunity and passive immunity. These are the two types of immunity that comes under acquired immunity. Why we call them as acquired immunity? Because we do not have this immunity at the time of birth, whereas we develop this actively or passively in our lifespan. Okay, here we have a small topic left after the structure of antibody molecule. This is how an antibody looks. Okay, here I have mentioned this is the heavy chain. The two long chains are known as heavy chain. These two short chains are known as light chains. Okay, and we have this disulfur bridges here. This is the antigen binding site. This is the diagram for 2 marks and it is very important to you. Now, we will look into the next topic, which is 2 types of acquired immune responses. You know what is acquired immunity? The immunity which is, obtained or gained or acquired in the lifespan of a person. Now, here the active immunity and passive immunity that we have studied are the 2 types of acquired immunity. Okay, whereas there are 2 types of acquired immune responses. That means how your body is going to respond. So that is known as acquired immune response. There is a difference between acquired immune response and acquired immunity. Okay, so we have 2 types of acquired immune responses. One is known as humoral immune response or antibody mediated immunity. Okay, the second type of response is cell mediated immune response or cell mediated immunity. Generally we say antibody mediated immunity or AMI, cell mediated immunity or CMI. Okay, what is antibody mediated immunity? I have already clearly explained it. When your immune system, okay, or when any antigen enters your body, how your body is going to respond? If your body is going to respond by producing antibodies, then they are known as antibody mediated immunity. Imagine a pathogen is entering your body immediately responds by producing antibodies. Who is going to produce antibodies? B lymphocytes. Then such type of immunity is known as antibody mediated immunity. The immunity that you got with the help of this antibody. Such type of immunity is also known as such type of response where you respond by producing antibodies. Such type of response is known as humoral immune response or antibody mediated immunity. Whereas if you look into cell mediated immune response or cell mediated immunity, there are 2 types. Imagine a pathogen has entered your body. Your body definitely has to respond. Your immune system has to produce an immune response, right? When any pathogen is entering your body, you just can't let the pathogen grow in your body. Your body has to respond in 2 types. One option of your body is to produce antibodies. Okay, your immune system has to ask the B lymphocytes to produce antibody. The antibody is going to neutralize the antigen or the pathogen. This type of response is known as humoral immune response. Since it is mediated by antibody, the whole response is mediated by antibody. This is also known as antibody mediated immunity. Then what is cell mediated immune response or cell mediated immunity? Now the second option your body has is, first one, it has to produce antibodies. Imagine your immune system doesn't want to produce antibodies. It wants to get rid of that pathogen in some other way. It wants to kill that pathogen in some other way. Then it can use the second option, which is cell mediated immune response or cell mediated immunity. Here some cells are going to do the function of antibodies. Antibodies will go, they will neutralize the pathogen and they will kill it. So that is the one response. Second response is the body uses certain types of cells which is actually going to kill the pathogen. Here antibodies are not involved. Antibodies is nowhere in picture. Only certain cells of your body will do this function. So which cell? T lymphocytes. Okay. So here T lymphocytes are the actual lymphocytes which is going to carry out this immunity and produce cell mediated immune response. Here then which cell we can say? Here antibodies are produced by B lymphocytes. Okay. However, antibodies are directly acting here in this particular case. So they are known as humoral or antibody mediated immunity. Here T lymphocytes are going to actually carry out the cell mediated immune response. T lymphocytes are one kind of WBC, white blood cells. Here it is a cell which is going to actually produce a immune response. Here it is antibody which is going to produce the immune response. Here it is a cell. It's a kind of WBC which is going to produce the immune response. So here we can say cell mediated immune response. So if you see this, when some human organs, imagine a person's heart is not working, kidney is not working, eyes are not working, liver is not working. What we do nowadays, since the science is so developed, advanced, what we do is we do organ transplantation. Right? We take the organ from a normal person and we transplant that organ. Transplant is also known as grafting. Okay? Here we can see, here you see this term graft. Grafting is nothing but transplanting. Transplanting means taking an organ from a normal donor and replacing it with the abnormal or malfunctioning organ of a person who is suffering from any kind of disease. Okay, imagine a person's kidney is not functioning properly. He is suffering from some kidney disease and transplantation is the only option. Okay, since we have 2 kidneys, a person can survive even with 1 kidney. So what we do is, we choose a donor who is having both his kidneys functioning normally. So we take 1 kidney from such donor and transplant it to this person whose both the kidneys are not working. Okay, we will take 1 kidney from a normal healthy donor and we will transplant that kidney in this person's body whose both the kidneys are not working. Can we do it randomly? Okay, so can we just choose any one person randomly and bring his kidney and put that kidney into this person who is having kidney problem? It is not going to happen. Okay, if you have to do a organ transplantation, if you have to donate your organ, or imagine you want to donate your organ to somebody, you want to give one of your kidneys to somebody, can you just go and give it to some random person? We cannot do it. Okay, if a person is having a malfunctioning kidney, you have to match his body type with the donor's body type. Okay, what are the matching? Tissue matching. Okay, first thing we observe, we look for is blood group. Both the person, the donor and the recipient. The recipient is the person who is going to accept a kidney, whose kidneys are not working. The donor is the healthy person who is going to donate kidney. Okay, both of their blood groups should match. Okay, blood group matching is very important. After that, tissue matching is done, whether the tissue of these donor and recipients are matching. Only after doing this, we do the grafting or transplantation surgery. Okay, if you don't do it, what happens? If you do not match the tissue, if you do not match the blood cells, blood group, before transferring the kidney from a donor to the recipient, what is going to happen? Here you see T cells. T cells are nothing but T lymphocytes. Generally T lymphocytes can also be referred as T cells. What these T cells will do, the major function of T cells, here if you see, I want you all to read this, the body is able to differentiate self and non-self, and the cell mediated response is responsible for the graft rejection. Here you read this, the body is able to differentiate self and non-self. Okay, for example, I am a recipient, I am going to receive kidney from some other person, whereas I have my own immunity in my body, right? Everybody has an inbuilt immune system. My immune system knows, especially these T cells or T lymphocytes, both are same. T cells knows what is self and what is non-self. Self and non-self means what belongs to my body and what does not belong to my body. Okay, I told you, even if a single dust particle is entering your body, or if a microscopic virus or ultra microscopic virus is entering your body is able to identify that it does not belong to me. It is a non-self. Non-self means it is not mine. It does not belong to my body. Body knows what is self, what belongs to me and what does not belong to me. Virus, you might think, it is such an ultra microscopic structure. It is smaller than bacteria. Okay, even though it is so small, your body is able to identify this virus, which is ultra microscopic structure, does not belong to me. It is a non-self. This is not my self cell. It is a non-self. So imagine if I am a recipient, my blood group is AB positive. I am taking the kidney from a donor who is A positive. Okay, I am a universal recipient still, something, the blood group, it's okay, we are generally known as universal recipient. Imagine I am a person with A blood group, A plus, A positive. Okay, I am taking a kidney from a donor who is B positive. Okay, my antigens and antibodies, his antigen or his antibodies are completely different. We do not share the same blood group, we do not share the same antigens and antibodies. Okay, when I, by mistake, without doing all the checkups, which is not going to happen, I take the kidney from that particular person. That person's kidney, when it is transplanted in my body, that kidney cell will be, the whole kidney will be considered as antigen. Antigen means a foreign substance. Okay, antigens are foreign substance. So if I don't do a tissue match, blood group match, and I take kidney from a donor who is of not my blood group, whose tissue does not match with my tissue type, then if I take the kidney from that person, that kidney, every cell of that kidney will be considered as a non-self from your body's immune system. Who is going to recognize it? Your T cells or T lymphocytes are going to recognize it. They will think this is some foreign substance or a pathogen entering my body. It goes and attacks that antigen and destroy them. Even though that is not an antigen, you have purposefully transferred the kidney. Your body doesn't know. Your T cells, they do not know that this is a planned transplantation. It considers the new kidney as antigen and it considers them as non-self. They will go and destroy them. Okay, your T cells will start destroying the kidney cells. Finally, what happens is it will be rejected. Okay, so here that is the reason you have to do a tissue matching and blood group matching before the transplantation is done. Otherwise, grafts from just any source, like if you want kidney, you take it from animal or any other primate or any other human beings, it cannot be made since the graft will be rejected sooner or later. Maybe few hours or few days you will survive with that kidney, but sooner or later the kidney will be completely destroyed by your T cells. Okay, so transplantation experiment, transplantation surgery is not that simple, and transplantation is not an easy process. Okay, even if you do tissue matching and blood group matching, imagine I am a A positive person, I am taking a kidney from a person who is already A positive, both our blood group is matching, tissue is matching. Still, if I take a kidney from him, throughout my life, I need to take immunosuppressants. Okay, something called as immunosuppressant, which will keep my T cell suppressant so that it does not kill the kidney. Because ultimately it is a foreign body to my body. Okay, even though you know it is a kidney, your T cells doesn't know it's a kidney. Okay, it considers only it as a antigen coming from some other external source. Okay, so what happens? You have to take, even though everything is matching, you have done the grafting or transplant experiment. The patient has to take immunosuppressant. Suppressant means something which will be suppressed. Okay, here your immunity will be suppressed. Immunity will be suppressed means your T cells will be suppressed, so that the T cells does not attack, the T cells do not attack the antigen or the kidney cells and destroy them. It can happen in case of any particular organ, not only kidney. Okay, so now when we think, we might feel, why T cells are doing this? T cells shouldn't be doing this. But imagine, in place of kidney cells, some unwanted virus, some unwanted bacteria is entering your body. If your T cells do not carry out this function, if the T cells do not differentiate between self and non-self, it will allow your body to nurture all the possible microorganisms entering your body. Then your lifespan will drastically reduce. We will suffer with lot of diseases. It is a natural response or immunity given to you, when by the time, we developed it, when we were growing. So if we think of our body without these T cells, without these immunities or without these responses, then we cannot think about a long life. Okay, only in case of transplantation it becomes a little problem. However, this immunity or response are actually a kind of blessings, okay, for our life. Without these immune responses, without this immunity, we would be dead by this time. Now, yes, cell-mediated immune response is responsible for the graft rejection. If you are doing a transplantation experiment, surgery, and if your transplantation or the graft or the kidney that you have taken and put it in a new recipient is being rejected, that rejection is happening because of cell-mediated immune response, because your T cells are considering that new graft as an antigen and it will completely destroy them. So whole graft rejection is done. Your T cells will not accept that particular graft in your body. So this is about two different types of acquired immune response. The two different types of acquired immune response are humoral immune response and cell-mediated immune response. Humoral immune response is nothing but antibody-mediated immunity. Here, if a pathogen is entering your body has two options, either to produce antibody, otherwise ask the T lymphocytes to go and destroy it. Okay, here also we have to look into one particular topic. In our body we have certain cells known as cytotoxic T cells. Okay, there are kind of T lymphocytes which are cytotoxic. Cytotoxic means they are toxic to cells. Cyto means toxic, cyto means cells, toxic is poisonous. Okay, they are harmful to cells. What happens is, if a pathogen, if a pathogen is entering your body and the pathogen has already infected one cell, okay, a pathogen has entered your body, a virus has entered your body, virus has already infected few cells. At that particular time what happens is, these cells known as cytotoxic T cells, okay, it is generally abbreviated as TC, TC represents cytotoxic T cells. They go and instead of killing only the virus, it kills the whole cell, virus infected cell. Okay, hope this is clear to you. Instead of going and killing only the virus, here you see T cells, the normal T cells or T lymphocytes, they attack the antigen and destroy the antigen. Whereas cytotoxic T cells, here they attack only the antigen and destroy them. That means it attacks only the pathogen and it destroys only the pathogen. Okay, whereas if you see cytotoxic T cells, what they do is,
they attack the cell and destroy the infected cell. If a virus is present inside a cell, instead of killing only the virus, only that antigen, it kills the whole cell, so that infection does not spread to the nearby cells. Okay, so this is the speciality of activated cytotoxic T cells. I hope this topic is very clear to you. This is also very important for your examination. So there are two types of acquired immune responses. One is humoral immune response or antibody mediated. Here only antibodies are produced in order to kill the pathogens. Here cell mediated immunity, the complete topic revolves around T lymphocytes. Okay, we have normal T lymphocytes and cytotoxic T lymphocytes. T lymphocytes, they identify the antigen and destroy them. Identify any antigen coming into our body and destroy them. Cytotoxic T cells attack the whole cell in which that antigen is present. Okay, because of these T cells, we cannot carry out graft or transplantation very easily, because the new graft will be considered as a foreign body and it will be rejected and killed by the by your T cells. Okay, I hope this topic is clear to you. In our next session, we will talk about vaccination and immunization. We will also talk about allergies, autoimmunity and different lymphoid organs which is present in our body. I hope these topics were clear to you. If you have any queries, you can always get back to me.